Hi guys, my name is Kirill and I wanted to tell you a story about how I came to meet the girl I had communicated with for 2 years on the internet, where I didn't warn her about my visit. There were tears, crying, happiness, and again more tears. I met a girl from New York on Facebook 2 years ago. Her name was Veronica and we started to communicate pretty actively. At the beginning we chatted for whole days and then we switched to phone calls. We could talk all night until the morning and not even notice this. About a month later she pretty much became the closest person to me. Does that make any sense? A girl I had never seen before was able to become the closest person to me. And then I realized that I fell in love. But starting a relationship was impossible because I knew that a rash decision can be pretty disastrous, and I promised myself that someday I would see Veronica and I would tell her about my feelings. Well, it had been about 2 years since we met. We'd still never seen each other, but continued to communicate on the internet and on the phone. There were many quarrels and disagreements, but somehow we managed to stay super close. I was graduating from college in my city, and I had to go apply to the university in New York, where she lives. You can't even imagine how happy I was when I found out that I was going to go see her in a week. Finally, in 1 week, I will meet her. I knew that this would be our first meeting and I wanted it to happen in a special and unusual way. I decided not to say anything to Veronica about my visit, because I wanted to make it a huge surprise. I knew the address where she lived, so I had no trouble finding her. And then the day came. I took the train and went to see the person I've been thinking about every day for the past 2 years. I smiled all the way on the train and people looked at me like I was crazy. I had to travel all night and I couldn't sleep. In the morning I arrived in New York. For me it was something unusual, new, and great. I didn't waste any time, so I Googled her address and went straight to Veronica. I went so fast to visit her that it was almost like I flew. The closer I got to her house, the more I started worrying. I don't even know why. No, I know why. Because I was going to see Veronica in an hour, and the moment had come. I came to her house, went up to the entrance, but didn't enter yet. The main problem was I didn't know when she was going to be home. But the good thing is, before I left, I asked Veronica what her plans was for the day. I was afraid that she would suspect something, but everything went well, and Veronica said that around noon she would go shopping. It means that I had to get to her front door before noon. I arrived there at 11, and I still had about an hour. But just to be sure that I didn't miss her, I decided to go to her door and wait there. I went closer and closer to her apartment, and everything inside me was burning. My hands were shaking. I knew that behind this door is the same girl who's become a part of my life, and in an hour I will see her. To throw off a little bit of my excitement, I sat down on the steps and began to watch different YouTube videos to fill the waiting time with something fun. 5 minutes remained. I'm on fire, my cheeks are red, my hands are shaking. I dropped my phone a couple times, but it's nothing compared to what was supposed to happen. I look at the door and I'm waiting for someone to open it. It was already noon, but no one came out. I kept waiting. Maybe she was still just getting dressed. I stood there for about 40 minutes. It was already nearly 1 o'clock and I almost gave up. I figured either Veronica went out early, or maybe she's not coming out at all, or maybe I just had to call her on the phone and tell her that I was there. It's kind of like a surprise also, but I wanted it to be a little different. I sat down on the steps again. I was looking sad and hopeless. And I put my headphones on again and began to watch more videos to, brighten up the situation. I was sitting on the steps and I saw a young girl walk right in front of me. She was walking hand in hand with a guy. I looked into her eyes and I knew it was Veronica. She kissed this guy. At that moment, I felt as if a truck had fallen on me. I couldn't understand. 2 days ago, she wrote to me that if I was ever in New York, we could have a relationship, and now I see her kissing another person. From that moment on, when I look at her, I saw a stranger. although 10 minutes ago she was the closest person to me. I didn't know what to do, and the only solution was to just get out of there. I got up from the steps and just ran past them. I still don't know if Veronica even recognized me, and I'll probably never know. After that day, I never wrote to her again. I went to university, moved to New York. I have a beautiful girl that I love. And Veronica and I never saw each other again. But as much as I'd like to forget her, anyway, it's hard to forget what you've been living for the past 2 years.